I got a job around 3 months ago. It's my first proper job that isn't in a fast food restaurant. No hate. This was to pay for my rent and save up for uni. I live away from my parents because I go to an international school in another city. As per customs in the country I live in, and to show gratitude, I gifted my first paycheck to my parents. It wasn't much, but I could see that they appreciated it, and we were all happy. This lasted for 10 minutes. My mother then decided to go on the family group chat to tell everyone. No blame on her, I understand. I then got a call from my aunt, who proceeded to ask me about the details of my job, which seemed fishy considering she hadn't really given a shit about my existence until 2 seconds after that text message was sent. She then explained that her son, my cousin, who goes to the same school and is in my grade, is going to college, no shit, and that I, as a person with a source of income and as a family member, should pay part of his school fees using my next paycheck, since I'm part of the family and should support him. For the record, I know that my aunt has a substantially larger salary than I do, but I guess she doesn't care to spend a dime of it on something that doesn't benefit her. Additionally, when I got into this school, my mother called my aunt to ask if I could stay with her until I graduated, but she refused, saying they didn't have space. Instead, my parents bought me a small flat and I have to work to contribute to the rent. My aunt went on about how hard my cousin worked to get into college and insisted that I should have some sympathy for him. Honestly, I don't feel any sympathy for a kid who stays out all night and barely puts in the effort at school. With the little patience I had left, I politely reminded her that most of my salary goes to my own basic needs, such as paying rent and buying food, as well as saving up for my tuition fees, to which she rudely responded with, "If you can do that, you should be able to donate some money." I've always been taught the value of hard work and self-sufficiency, and now it felt like my effort was being taken for granted, so I hung up on her out of frustration. Later, I got a call from my mother asking why her sister was complaining about me. I explained my side of the story, and now she has blocked my aunt as well. My aunt realized this and has been pestering other relatives to help cover the fees, and guilt-tripping or shaming those who don't donate, and is probably ranting in the family chat as I am writing this.
And that's the situation so far. The author is handling everything the right way, prioritizing his own responsibilities and standing his ground, something many of us struggle to do when family pressures arise. It's a reminder that setting boundaries and valuing your own hard work is never wrong, even when others try to guilt you. And now, let's move on to the update.
Update. This is starting to feel like a fever dream. Now to the actual stuff. As some of the comments suggested, I did go NC with my aunt. I didn't talk to her, but I got some hateful messages on social media from people I assumed to be my aunt's friends. That worked for a day, until I realized the horrible timing of my last post. Our family has these gatherings for dinner around once every 4 or so months, where all our extended family that is descended from my maternal grandmother gathers, usually at a relative's house. This time, it was my parents' turn to host, and it felt good to go back because, living alone isn't fun. I got there at around 3 p.m. today. I'm going back to school tomorrow, in order to help prepare and, best of all, beat the rest of my relatives to have some quality time with my parents and sister. As soon as I got there, they showed me my aunt ranting out of self-pity in the family GC, and we laughed a bit. At around 5, my relatives started showing up, including my aunt and her family. I managed to avoid her for the first hour until dinner, as that is when we all sit at a long table and go over what everyone has been up to for the past few months. One of my uncles then asked all the kids how school was, and eventually asked about me and my cousin's internal results. For context, the school I go to follows the IB exam board, and those of you who were in an IB school probably know it's hell. My cousin went first and told everyone, rather smugly, that he got a total of 26 of 45, a pass, and was told by someone to study harder. LOL. It was then my turn, and I told everyone I got 42, which got me a round of applause and a pissed-off look from my cousin. Then my aunt decided to stand up and claim that this was the reason I should help my cousin, as I am apparently doing well enough, and that my lazy cousin deserves the same opportunity too because he was trying hard and cut down on playing COD and is studying. Imo, if you take IBDP and still have time for COD, you must be really smart. She then switched to a customer service voice and started appealing to our other relatives, as well as subtly shading those present that didn't. As some of you suggested, I went and told her that I will donate, but only the same amount of money she paid for my school fees, aka nothing. And that if my cousin really needed money, I would be glad to share my employer's information with him. I had a lot of fun saying that, but unfortunately got only the opposite of the desired effect. My aunt went ballistic and started then blaming my mother for raising a heartless and stupid child, and that I was now of the age to be a breadwinner for the family, which she emphasized included her. This then pissed my father off, and he hauled my aunt into another room, but we could still hear all his cursing and that she shouldn't be dependent on other people. In the end, my aunt walked out with my cousin, but not before demanding that my mother talk some sense into me and some other people, and also to then disown us. This all happened an hour ago. As I am writing this, my aunt is writing in the GC that if I am to get a scholarship, it should be handed to my cousin, and I should pay for my tuition myself. I don't think that's how scholarships work. P.S. No hate to my cousin, because, to be fair, he didn't demand anything from me. I think he's just irked that I got the better score. I don't think he's stupid. I just think that he's devoted all his brainpower to COD. Edit. If she does anything more delusional and Reddit-worthy, I'll post an update. Funny. So far, there haven't been any updates. Let me know what you think, and do you have any relatives like the aunt from this story? Now let's move on to the comments. How did your other relatives react to your aunt's demands? Some of them blocked her, some of them screamed into a phone, and some crazy ones actually gave money. How did your cousin react to his mother's embarrassing behavior? Probably, well, she's pissed now. I now have an excuse to hole up in my room and play COD until she calms down. And cousin doesn't even have to pay rent, I bet. He lives under my aunt's roof, so I doubt he pays for rent, let alone food.
Remember, it's okay to set boundaries and prioritize your own responsibilities. The author handled everything the right way and is lucky to have such understanding parents. Without their support, the situation could have turned out much worse. And now, let's move on to the next story. I met my fiancé 2 years ago. My son, 4, gets on well with him, and my ex-husband, my son's father, also likes him. Now to the point. 3 years ago, I won a large sum of money in the lottery. Not millions, but enough for a nice life if I work normally, and a good start for my son later. 75% went into a savings account that my son will have access to when he's 21. My fiancé always thought he had plenty of money and never let me correct him. I insisted on a prenuptial agreement, and for that, the finances were disclosed. Now the amount in my son's savings account is about 5 times more than anything my fiancé has. Completely enraged, he left the lawyer's office and ignored all calls for 2 days. For me, that was the end of the relationship, and I wrote to him saying that he could have the ring back. A week later, he was at the door. He would love me, but was in shock, and now wanted details of where the money had come from. He also told me that he had a 5-year-old daughter from a previous relationship, and that it would only be fair to split the money so that his daughter could also benefit from it. He sees it as justified, as I got the money through luck and not through performance. I gave him back the engagement ring and kicked him out of my apartment. Since then, I've been getting messages from various social media profiles and cell phone numbers that I would be the AH who is ruining his daughter's future. I only found out about his daughter that day. I never saw any photos or anything like that in the past years. Update. After receiving many of your tips, I took my son to his grandparents, informed the police, and also my boss. Unfortunately, the police can't do much in my country as long as he doesn't commit a crime against me. Harassing me on the phone and begging for money doesn't count as a crime. I informed my boss, mainly because my ex-fiancé works for a company that we deal with almost daily. That's how we originally met. In recent weeks, there have been many attempts by his friends and family to contact me, all of whom wanted to convince me to give him the money. But everyone hung up when I asked about his daughter. When my ex-fiancé showed up at my work, he didn't normally have to do that after getting a promotion.
My boss called my fiancé's company and explained that if he took one more step in my direction, all contracts would be canceled due to their unacceptable behavior. This led to a meeting with my ex-fiancé's boss, my boss, and me. I didn't tell them every detail, but when it came to the money, his boss explained to me that my fiancé actually wanted to buy a large stake in the company and was allegedly just waiting for the loan to be paid out.
This made it clear why he wanted my son's money so badly.
My ex-fiancé is actually a highly respected employee at his company, which is why his boss was reluctant to fire him, especially since this probably wouldn't have improved my situation. And similar to the police, his boss considered it bad behavior, but it wasn't a criminal offense. At the same time, my company is a very large client for them, and sweeping the whole thing under the rug wouldn't help. After a few days, I received the news that my ex-fiancé was being transferred to another branch of the company, several thousand kilometers away from me. The company's purchasing department also clearly rejected the purchase. Afterwards, I found out via social media that my ex-fiancé actually has a daughter. A friend was still following him on Instagram to keep an eye on him, and when she looked at his tags from the last 6 years, she actually noticed his ex, and a look at her profile showed a girl of the specified age.
I contacted her and she willingly explained to me how much he actually wanted a child and how, when the ultrasound showed it was a girl, he left her. He broke off contact with the mother during the pregnancy and willingly gave up all his rights and obligations as a father. She herself is now in a happy relationship, and her husband loves her daughter. She never asked my ex-fiancé for money. Following your advice regarding the savings account, I contacted our financial advisor and can now say that I must apologize to you. It is indeed a trust fund. I just hadn't referred to it as such until then, as it is mainly referred to as a savings account in my country. But yes, it is a trust fund in the American sense. I discussed with my ex-husband, the father of my son, once again how we would make the payout, and thanks to your tips, we have now decided on a staggered payout from ages 21 to 35, so that he has a contribution for several stages of his life. The amount at age 21 has been chosen so that it can be used for college, but at the same time, it won't hurt too much if he squanders it. My question was mainly because there were actually many people in my circle who called me that, because I persuaded my ex-fiancé to sign a prenuptial agreement. But for me, a prenuptial agreement was important for several reasons. To secure my son's money, now I know he wouldn't have been able to get his hands on it. I started a small business in addition to my main job. Nothing big at the moment, but it's still mine. I'm saving money so that I can eventually realize my dream of owning a house in Australia, and I didn't want to lose that money to him in a divorce. In retrospect, I can see how many red flags I overlooked on his part, and I will definitely be more careful in the future. Thank you for your support.
And that's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video.